Roughly 3 years ago, I had the impressive accomplishment of 3-2ing a league with 4 Spreading Algae in my deck. Let's see if we can do the same again. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another legacy video featuring Lumra Living Wish Lands. But before we get into that, let me just say that today's video is sponsored by Gold Sabertooth. Now, if you liked the tokens that you saw from me at MagicCon Atlanta, Gold Sabertooth is the artist who made those. Now, he is going to be dropping 10 different playmat designs, as well as a token pack of 18 different tokens, which are mostly CEDH themed. If you are interested in some sweet playmats, and you might even have a chance to vote on what some of those playmats can be, check out the Kickstarter campaign that is linked in the video description here. There are plans for some of these already, featuring some iconic decks, such as Amulet Titan from Modern. P.S. The token packs are going to be available in both foil and non-foil, so they're going to be pretty sweet. So, Edison has asked me to play with Spreading Algae, and this is a card that is too cute for basically any format. It is an enchant swamp enchantment aura. When the enchanted land becomes tapped, destroy it, and when this aura is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return it to its owner's hand. So the idea here is that with Urborg, everything is a swamp. So you can use Spreading Algae on a land, and then when your opponent taps that land for mana, it will be destroyed, meaning that they do not have the ability to go and build up lands. And if you are doing this while you are also doing things like wastelanding them or ghost quartering them, you can make it very difficult for them to cast just about any spell. I watched a handful of deck techs and conclusions of decks playing Spreading Algae, and spoilers, I kept hearing things like, it's the worst card in the deck, it's too cute, and things of that nature. But we're going to try to max out on Urborgs, max out on Spreading Algaes, and see if we can destroy some lands today. And I think if you want to be playing Spreading Algae, you have to be playing a deck that is going to dirtle. And very few things dirtle harder than a Life from the Loam Field of the Dead deck that is very comfortable playing a 15-turn game of Magic the Gathering. I think we are fully going to lose to combo decks when we get paired against them, but against fair decks, and maybe like these Cloud Post decks, maybe we have a real chance at burying them with cards like Maze of Ith and Wasteland. The biggest change that I'm going to make from the previous version that I played is that since we're playing a playset of Urborg anyway, we're going to throw a Bayou into here and make it so that we can play a playset of Thoughtseize out of the sideboard to at least have a snowball's chance at stealing some combo matchups. Maybe we Thoughtseize, and then we have some time to get the Wasteland lock going, but it's going to be an uphill battle. So 3 or 4 years ago, I played a Spreading Algae league that kind of looked like The Rock. It was a bunch of like Dark Confidant, I think Knight of the Reliquary things, and I managed to put up a 3-2 finish with Spreading Algae 3 years ago. Legacy has gotten a little stronger than then. Since then, let's see what we can do here. And folks, if you need any Magic cards, please consider checking out my sponsor, TOAMagic.com. Promo code ThrabenU saves you a bit on your order. I sold them, or will sell them, a whole bunch of cards in MagicCon Atlanta. I've got 2 boxes worth of stuff that I'm going to be sending them, and they have always treated me very, very well. All right, let's battle. Oh, I don't remember if I said promo code ThrabenU saves you money. If I didn't, do that, and then let's battle. This hand is crazy if I hit one land. One land is all it takes for me to get this Life from the Loam nonsense going. I miss a lot, right? Like, I still miss not quite half the time. I'm going to be good and mulligan it, right? What if I didn't? What if I kept it? Let's mulligan. This is very good. I will be keeping this one. I do not have an Urborg for Spreading Algae. Spreading Algae is going directly to the bottom of the deck here. The second Life from the Loam is not exactly a premium card, but things like Force of Negation exist. Ancient Tomb? Palace on 1 is fine. I can Boseiju that if I care. It is not clear whether or not I actually do care. YouTube comments losing their mind as I immediately draw the Urborg for Spreading Algae. I think I'm just going to do anything that slows my opponent down here. And I think that means this. Basic Island. Not necessarily the one that I would have expected there. It's blue Cloud Post, so I can have Life from the Loam on Boseiju to destroy that. That's fine. My opponent shuts off a Mox Diamond that is not actually in my deck there. So I will go ahead and play Wooded Foothills, fetch, let's surveil, Living Wish. Did I cut that Ghost Quarter from the sideboard? I did. Living Wish can get me a Collector Oof or a Rex Sage. Not ready for this yet. I'm just going to say no to that. Put that in my graveyard and just try to get deeper towards a wasteland. I don't know off the top of my head how many basic islands my opponent's deck is going to be playing. Yeah, it's probably somewhere on the order of 2. Planar Nexus is good. And that is a Kozilek's command, taking out a Life from the Loam. I have another one. That's the good news. I guess it was very smart that I kept that Life from the Loam. Alright, which of these am I more afraid of? Planar Nexus can enable the Urza lands as well. I think I am just going to take out the Planar Nexus here. There is a second basic island. I don't need to use this immediately. I'm going to use this when I can potentially surveil, I think. And I'll pull back that Boseiju to my hand. I have successfully denied a little bit of mana via Boseiju, but I would like to find a better land than what I currently have. Cloud Post is solid. Stock Up is great. Come on, Wasteland. That is Wasteland. So I will use 2 mana. I think I am going to do it this way. So I'm going to use 2 mana to take out the Cloud Post. We'll see whether or not my opponent has a third island. They do not. I will get back Wasteland and Boseiju. Are we resolving? That is a Force of Will, pitching a Sink into Stupor, so my opponent buys a little time, and this can allow me to do a Surveil land with my turn, and then get that Wasteland going on Glimmer Post. And we will have 1 Ghost Quarter that we can later find to start taking out those islands, and Boseiju can go after Chalice of the Voids as well. There's a tapped Cloud Post. I'll Surveil with Underground Mortuary. Winding Way is a great card, but I am about to dredge, so I will just put that into my graveyard. Dredge Life from the Loam, return Boseiju, Wasteland, and Fetch Land, like so. Alright, now we're off to the races. Is that lag from a concession? That lag is from a concession. Yep. So, that was a dominant performance on my end. You can't necessarily expect it to be that easy every time. So I have Living Wish for Collector Oof for One Ring type things. Living Wish for Lumra endgame. Do I want or need Thoughtseize? Just anything to slow my opponent down? It might be reasonable to do something that looks like this and take out most of my defensive cards. I think I'm gonna try that. This means that it'll be a little harder to do something crazy with Manabond. I think it's fine. Oof, Ghost Quarter as the only land is not gonna cut it here. Absolutely not. Auto Mulligan. This is not great, but I will probably keep it. I think I'm just gonna put the Mortuary back in the deck. That's an Urza's Tower. Ooh, that's a good hit. Let's grab the Bayou so I get untapped black, and Thoughtseize my opponent. So my opponent does have 4 mana next turn. I don't care about Force of Will. It's not Force of Negation. I probably just take their Stock Up here. But their hand is totally solid. So there's Planar Nexus, and my opponent can filter into blue to play the Thundertrap Trainer. Finding a Karn. Hate that for me. Malevolent Rumble. That's a very good card that I would prefer not to lose to Force of Will. So I think I'm going to see if my opponent will counter a Living Wish here. And they do. All right. Karn is problematic. I am not great at addressing planeswalkers specifically in this deck. So we'll see how bad this is. Moon Snare Prototype, that's like a bounce thing, right? Yeah, discard this card. The owner of target non-land permanent puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Okay, what can I do with Living Wish here? Get Blast Zone? That doesn't feel great. I think I'm dead to Lattice here. Oh, damn. It was specifically for Force of Negation. Okay. Understood. So I'll fetch, get a forest. We'll play out a Manabond that I can't use immediately for anything cool. So I guess the hope is Life from the Loam, Manabond produces zombies before my opponent hits enough mana to Lattice. Alright, Karn does tutor. It's a Chalice of the Void. Fuck, Chalice of the Void on 2 is so good here. Damn. I'll take a little from this Otter. And I don't have a good play. I'm not dead immediately. But I think over the next couple of turns, this is very bad for me. Yeah, I think I'll value my time. With Karn active, the One Ring active, and Chalice on 2, I think we can go to the next game pretty safely. Don't think anything changes about how I approach this game. I need to disrupt my opponent before they get that stuff into play. Yeah. This is fine. Lair of the Hydra. Play Manabond. And I think we just go immediately. Say yes. I could try to save up with Field of the Dead, but I think I just want to dredge Life from the Loam and use Life from the Loam next turn. We got the from the opponent. Chill, dude. I said it's all sorts of weird over here. All right, let's surveil land with our blue source. Another Field of the Dead. That can just go into graveyard. So I will dredge with Life from the Loam. All right, Yawgmoth Field and Wooded Foothills. 1 and 2. This is a big Force of Negation moment. Yep. I'll pass the turn there. I suppose I missed a point of damage by not leaving a green source untapped. I'm not sweating that too awful much. Urborg's not great. So we'll activate this lair. Crash in for 3. Oh, that's a Kozilek's command. Sure. So that was actually pretty bad for me. I'm further away from Field of the Dead, which is my answer to Planeswalkers. Things are fine as long as I draw a Winding Way or Life from the Loam or something of that nature that allows me to get a few land drops. Ooh, big mana coming. Boseiju? I probably need to Boseiju. The question is which one. Ancient Tomb is more mana right now. The Cloud Post is more mana in the future. The Cloud Post costs the Ancient Tomb costs my opponent life. I think I'm going to go after the Cloud Post. This is mana neutral right now, but if my opponent needs to get to bigger mana to do some stuff, it's probably fine. Though I did ultimately deny a mana this turn by doing what I did. That is a Lorien Revealed. Opponent's going to have to discard here, which does not bode well for me. That just means, well, I mean, yeah. Let's do that on the Ancient Tomb. All right, it has resolved. Again, that doesn't mean a lot. My opponent can still just save this for a critical moment, and I don't think it is worth it to do things like Rishadan Port to try and tap down the lands specifically. I think we're absolutely just going to get overpowered by this One Ring. It's another Urborg. This is the downside of trying to play 4 copies of Spreading Algae and Urborg. This works against my Field of the Dead. Opponent's at 14 after this trigger, and now they have a ton of mana, and that's an Ugin. Realistically, with my opponent having an Ugin resolved and that many cards in hand, I don't think I am beating this combination. We can call it there. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you want to see upcoming sets, if you want to understand commander brackets, or if you just want an awesome place to store all, and I mean all, of your deck lists, Moxfield is the place. You can organize all of your decks by folders, and you can even change the views. You like visual, they've got that. You like text, they've got that. Check out my Moxfield Pro Field if you want to see all, and I mean all, of the decks that I've been cooking up. This is a weird hand. I have a Manabond. I have double Urborg. I don't have any like Life from the Loam sort of stuff here. Manabond and Exploration tend to make the hands better. I don't think this one is a keep, though. This is fine. I mean, it's very clearly not Spreading Algae here, unfortunately. I think I get a basic on turn 1, so I cannot be wastelanded. And as we saw last game, when we had a Life from the Loam eat a Force of Negation in a game 1 scenario, having multiple Life from the Loams is not necessarily a bad thing. We'll be saying no to that one. Basic Plains, sure. Field of the Dead, great pickup. I think I am into Malevolent Rumble this turn. Multiple Spreading Algae. I'll just take the Boseiju. And I'll pass here. Against Basic Plains, it's probably just okay to discard these Life from the Loams. And I think I'm just going to dump these directly into play. And then we'll dredge Life from the Loam and try to do something crazy. Ancient Tomb, so this is probably some initiative nonsense. Sure. Anointed Peacekeeper on Life from the Loam is not actually a problem, right? Because it makes it cost 3 more. Oh, no, only 2 more? Yeah, no problem. Life from the Loam. Target. The 3 things that I can target. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And we can go ahead and just go to end step here. And put these in. Say yes. Keep the untapped Boseiju. Do I want to Ghost Quarter an Ancient Tomb? I think that's fine. It'll give my opponent some white mana in the short term, but reduce the amount of mana that they have. I'll just take this hit. I can potentially get more than 3 life out of this later. That is a wasteland. Sure, that's fine. I'll get it back with Life from the Loam. Stoneforge Mystic is fine. Getting Cauldra. As long as I find a Maze of Ith, that is not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and surveil here with a Hedge Maze. Mortuary can go into Graveyard. Dredge Life from the Loam. Life from the Loam. Field of the Dead. A Ghost Quarter. I don't want both Field of the Deads this time. Field of the Dead, Ghost Quarter, and Mortuary is fine. This costs me 4 mana. And we'll do the Manabond thing. Say yes, and this is going to trigger all of those things with Field of the Dead. I'll surveil here. Exploration. I don't actually need that with the Manabond in play. We'll just say no to that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 without it. I am fine starting to Ghost Quarter Basic Plains. My opponent will probably have a bunch. I don't know whether they're mono white or red white yet. My guess is mono white with Stoneforge Mystic here. But I will just fully run them out of basics eventually. And 1 or 2 copies of Maze of Ith will probably do my opponent in, unless they start aggressively attacking Maze of Ith now with cards like Anointed Peacekeeper. Yep, your Caldra's fine. It does trample. I can just soak up some life here with 2 Field of the Deads coming. Like, this is not problematic. Always yield to that. We'll dredge. We'll Maze of Ith. Maze of Ith, Ghost Quarter, and Field of the Dead. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. So we'll just move to the end of the turn and do the Manabond thing. Now we're going to get double the number of tokens that we got last turn, and it should be trivial to win the game from here. Oh, I forgot to Ghost Quarter my opponent. Oh well. Cauldra comes in. I'll maze a Cauldra. There's an Ancient Tomb, a Giver of Runes. Protection from Colorless is actually relevant for Maze of Ith purposes. Whatever, I'll just kill my opponent. Send him. I'll deal some damage on this attack still. A Solitude, sure. I'll lose yet another one. And a Touch the Spirit Realm, you've got it. Did not actually do all that much damage here. I don't think it matters too much. I'll go Verdant, Wooded. I have an Urborg. I don't have an Urborg. Oh, I also just have my Ghost Quarter. I'll Ghost Quarter still. I'll take out the Ancient Tomb. Now Ghost Quarter, Verdant, Wooded. I'll play one of those now on the off chance that something were to happen to this Manabond. I am not expecting it to. My opponent can have their Solitude back and take out a zombie. Then I'll say yes to this. And I am building an army of friends that bounce around the battlefield. A swords, sure. Rashadenport. That's a good target to Ghost Quarter. Yep. Take 5, crack them back. For presumably lethal. 16. End of turn. There's a forest. That'll trigger these. I'll fetch. There's a snow-covered forest. That will trigger these. I will Ghost Quarter one of my own lands. I will use this ability. I will get a regular forest. And we will be swinging for more than lethal there. This is what we want. We want nice, fair pairings. We can eat decks like this alive with Field of the Dead and Maze of Ith. I don't imagine that I need Thoughtseize for this matchup. Blast Zone is a reasonable thing to just board in. I'm going to turn a Spreading Algae into a Blast Zone. This is mostly what I'm going to be tutoring for, I think, in this matchup, honestly. Like, I have a couple of reasonable cards. Thoughtseize might be better than Spreading Algae, but Thoughtseize takes away my life points. I could maybe just board in a Rex Sage. Rex Sage doesn't answer Cauldro, though, which is going to be the equipment that I'm probably the most scared of. Oh, this is totally fine. So I will just do very disgusting things with a Manabond in a turn or two. Not immediately. I think I have spells that I would like to cast first, but this will be good. Like, I'm pretty interested in casting this Malevolent Rumble. Oh yeah, please use your time to Rashadenport me. I'm playing like 37 lands. Nice. I think I'll just do this one here. Say no to that. Another land. How you feeling about that Rashadenport? Yeah, I mean, I'll fetch in response. Get a Surveil land. Blast Zone. It's okay. I think I'll say no to that. I'll probably get that back with Life from the Loam. I have a ton of different cards that my opponent could name here. I think it's a little hard for me to tell how they are going to approach this without knowing their hand. I don't think you name Maze of Ith if you have active Rashadenport. So you probably just name Life from the Loam. And they agree. I hit another Blast Zone. I think I'm fine putting that into play so that I have green. Ooh, nice. I think I do this. Oh, I can do even better, right? I have just any reasonable land. Yeah, I do. Yeah, this is fine. So go bam. Say yes. I just take the Bojuka Bog, even though it's not exciting. And say yes here. We'll keep one Urborg. I will Bojuka Bog. Target you. I will Wasteland your Rashadenport as well. So now I can dredge Life from the Loam and pay for the Anointed Peacekeeper tax while still having Maze of Ith here. And assuming no graveyard hate, I should handily win. Ancient Tomb? Giver? Sure. Archon? Sure. One spell is fine. Life from the Loam. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 names. So as soon as I have a Field of the Dead, I'm good in that capacity. So we'll go Field, Maze of Ith, and Wasteland. Then say yes to Manabond here at the end. And this Field of the Dead nonsense is going to begin. So I will have Wasteland Life from the Loam. I will have Blast Zone Life from the Loam. This is fine. Oh, I think my opponent dropped damage there. I think they are supposed to go pro-black and try to push damage. I'll just do that. Actually, if they protect, I still just lose 1, right? So I'll do the triple block. Yeah, so they are doing this anyway. They could have guaranteed the damage. Instead, they kill one of my zombies, which doesn't seem like a big deal to me. I can blast zone this so this doesn't happen again, while also taking out this Ancient Tomb. Spirited Labyrinth is fine. I'm absolutely not drawing cards. So let's get a Maze of Ith, a Ghost Quarter. I already have a Wasteland and a Blast Zone. Yeah. Move to end step. Say yes. Put these into play. Get more zombies. Wasteland and Ancient Tomb. And call that good. Oops, all Ancient Tombs. Vial is fine. That'll get caught up in this Blast Zone at some point when I take out Giver of Runes. If just Archon attacks, Maze of Ith invalidates that attack. Okay, this is fine. I'll do the same thing as last time. My opponent will protect. I'll Maze of Ith the Archon. I'll keep dredging. Let's do a Wasteland, a More Other Wasteland, and a Yawgmoth. Pick those up. Do the Manabond thing at end of turn. Say yes. Make a few more zombies. I don't think I necessarily need to junk this yet. Do I need to take out the Ancient Tomb? Need is a strong word. I think I'm just going to call this good. I think I actually want to take out the Archon with a Blast Zone first. So 1, 2, 3, and 4 mana. Just use one Maze of Ith this turn. That's fine. That, so doesn't matter. Yep, that's okay. Alright, just Archon swings in which case I use one Maze of Ith, which is exactly what I wanted to do anyway. Then end of turn, let's charge this up. Urborg lets us tap this stuff for mana. Go up to 3 counters on one of those Blast Zones. Dredge a life from the Loam. For 3 mana, I will go ahead and sacrifice this. We'll blow up those 3 drops. That's great. But now life from the Loam costs 2 mana. I'll get a Blast Zone, a Bayou, a Fetch Land. Opponent apparently has Cataclysm in their deck. Wild. GG's. Okie dokie. This is 7 lands, no mana bond or anything like that to make it pop off. We're going to say no to that. This second hand is fine. With Urborg Spreading Algae Exploration all here, I think I keep the Spreading Algae. I think I get rid of Living Wish because there's a decent... Well... Manabond, actually? Maybe we get rid of Manabond. It's awkward if Exploration does not resolve. An honest-to-goodness Cavern of Souls. Okay, maybe less honest. That is an uncounterable Tamiyo. Don't worry, we can Maze of Ith it. It'll be fine. Yawgmoth. Exploration. Please resolve. This is very, very, very important. I think I lose the game on the spot if this card does not resolve. F. Pitching a Thoughtcast. So now I don't get to Spreading Algae on turn 1, and my opponent gets to use that mana to crack clues. Yikes. Yep. This ain't great. And I don't get to life from the Loam. It's even worse. So my opponent now certainly has Metalcraft for Mox Opal. They can start cracking their clues and all that jazz. I will Spreading Algae that Urza Saga so that my opponent at least doesn't get multiple Construct tokens out of it. But it will be one large Construct token. Cracking a clue end of turn. And a Bauble. The opponent has 3 cards going into their turn here. And the Urza Saga tokens are going to be pretty large, given that Tamiyo is producing all of these clues. Sure. And now Tamiyo becomes a Planeswalker, which my deck is not great at. I'll need to find a Blast Zone. I guess I can Living Wish for one. I am thinking about how bad it is if I let my opponent tutor. I think I just let them tutor. I'm going to Wasteland this one. And then cast a Living Wish. Say yes. I think I get the Blast Zone still. It's a little awkward if there's a Pithing Needle here. My guess is no. Okay. So opponent is going to wait to make this Construct token until this trigger is on the stack. Oh no, they're going for mana. I'll get my Spreading Algae back, unless my opponent uses Soul Guide Lantern, which they don't. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. Now all this Nadu bullshit is happening as well. Is that 2 different Emrys? Oh no, Thoughtcast is the other thing. Alright, so my opponent is largely Emry artifact wizards with Nadu Shuko finish. Yeah, we're very, very heavy on wizards. Okay, I got it. So this is probably a Thoughtseize matchup. Electro Oof, also pretty darn reasonable. I can probably just concede to my opponent drawing 4 extra cards a turn, plus the Emery activation, plus Tameo, plus Soul Guide Lantern covering the graveyard. I guess I can take my draw. Yeah, and they have returned Force of Will with Tameo. I think this is a fine point to just go, I'm not winning this one. My opponent got too far ahead. So do I want Thoughtseize over Spreading Algae? I probably need to keep my opponent off of their combo. I don't love this. I have a few different things that I can tutor for that are relevant, but I think my opponent is going to come down faster than my deck on average. We lost this one when my exploration got countered on turn 1. With this hand, I can do a Living Wish on turn 2 for a turn 3 Collector Oof. This is fine. I don't think a fine hand is good enough to win this matchup. I think I need a Manabond or Exploration in my opening hand, or my opening hand is fully not viable. This hand's great. I don't know what to throw back. If I keep this Boseiju, there's a good chance that it ends up going into play as a land off of Manabond. I think I'm going to put this in the deck so I can draw it later. I think there is a good chance that my Manabond here gets countered. Does not. Okay. I don't think I am dumping these into play yet. I think I would like to cast the Malevolent Rumble first, and then do Manabond Wasteland. Yep. Sure. There's an Emery. Trigger Disruptor Flute in the graveyard. You've got it. I think I am going to go for casting the Malevolent Rumble here, even if sometimes this gets countered and it's awkward. I will just take a Wooded Foothills as I'm about to dump all of this stuff into play. I'll say yes. Life from the Loam is going to go to graveyard. I will Wasteland that Urza's Saga out of existence, and hopefully this keeps my opponent from casting a Disruptor Flute. Although I guess I do just have 5 mana for that anyway. Lotus Petals, fine. Sure. Cavern on Wizard. Mox Opal, not Metalcraft yet. End of turn. We're going to do some surveilling, and I think I'm going to do it pretty aggressively, even if this is awkward sometimes. Boseiju, that goes to Yard. We can Life from the Loam that. Thoughtseize, I don't need that at this stage. That can go to the graveyard. We're just trying to get deeper in the deck here. So Life from the Loam, target Boseiju, Wasteland, maybe Maze of Ith as the last one. 2 mana to do so. Nice. I will Wasteland that Cavern of Souls. Am I Bosejuing one of these? I don't think so. In which case, maybe the Boseiju should have just stayed in graveyard, so it doesn't end up in play. I can Ghost Quarter it out of play, but I think that was a mistake on my end. I think I just take another fetch and thin a land out of the deck. Cavern on Wizard. Yep. Looks like my opponent is going to play a Nadu. That does indeed happen. I'll dredge this. We're looking for a Field of the Dead. I don't find it. There's Wasteland, Wasteland. I'll thin the deck a bit, like so. Play Wasteland, Wasteland a Cavern of Souls. Get some extra lands into play. I think I just take 3 from the Nadu rather than letting my opponent draw a card from Maze of Ith. I can use my life total as a resource for a little while. Opponent's just going to go back in for that Lotus Petal. And that's it. I will just thin. I could try to save that for when I hit a Field of the Dead, but that is not happening. Wasteland, Urborg, Wooded Foothills. Bam and bam. Put this land into play, and then 2 more into play. Threw about half my deck without seeing a Field of the Dead, which is a little unfortunate. If I miss this turn, I might need to start thinking about just going and wastelanding my Boseiju to take it out of play and to make it so that I can have that to deal with a Shuko. I'll fetch and thin again. Have that Bayou. Dredge life from the loam. Wow. Absolute bricks. I'm going to put these lands into my hand. And then I think I'm just going to hold them for if I find Field of the Dead. Disruptor Flute. End of turn. Sure. That's fine. Opponent goes for Maze of Ith. Okay. I am not planning on activating that. Pinnacle Emissary with Warp. So now my opponent can turn a Lotus Petal into a 1/1 creature. I'll take a hit from a Nadu. I'm at 7. And this goes away from Warp. Dredge life from Loam. Wow, still brick. Insane. Okay. Welp, then I guess we're doing this. Destroy my own land. Life from the Loam, Wasteland, Boseiju, and Urborg. Doing the 1. Put Wasteland into play. Pass turn. Say no. So now I think this is the point where I do have to start using Maze of Ith so I don't die. That goes away. This gives my opponent a land, which I will take out immediately. They're going to target a Disruptor Flute. I'll maze that Nadu in response. There's an Emery. So there's the Disruptor Flute again. Going for Maze of Ith again. Boseiju was also potentially a name there. I'll end up taking 1 damage. That's 6. There's an Urza Saga. I will just wasteland that immediately. Not let it gain the mana ability. Dredge. My god. Like, Boseiju, Wasteland, Boseiju. That's a Force of Will pitching a Nadu. That's not great for me. Seen over half my deck without hitting a Field of the Dead, which pretty much just swings the game in a single card. I imagine this is the Pinnacle Emissary coming back down now. That target, just a Petal. So I'm going to take 4, and then I probably die to my opponent going wide here. Does it have to be like a Living Wish for Lumra now? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's an out. There's 1 Living Wish, 2 Living Wishes here. I think it does have to be. It is a Life from the Loam. So I can like draw a Boseiju, plan on Boseijuing this, but these flying tokens get me. That's a little bit of a frustrating loss. Just fully did not hit a relevant card after a ton of looks. Okay, opening hand here is totally fine. It'll be significantly worse if this exploration eats a counter spell. But otherwise, we're in pretty good shape with Malevolent Rumble to help dig for a Life from the Loam. We can say no to a Yavimaya. We are currently looking for our spells, with honorary mention to just finding a Field of the Dead directly. That will probably go somewhere. Alright. I think we beat this previously. Basic land is not what I am looking to draw. I mean, I'll take the Field of the Dead here, I suppose, with an exploration already. So I will Underground Mortuary. Winding Way is a fine draw for next turn. I'll take that. I'll play Field of the Dead out. The issue is that my opponent might, get to 4 mana this turn and catapult ahead before I can start disrupting their mana. And my fear is realized. There's a Grim Monolith into Tezzeret, which can then untap that Grim Monolith and potentially still have a 4-drop happen this turn. This is pretty bad. Manifold Key. We can go deeper. So that untaps the Monolith. Now it's a Karn. That is 2 Planeswalkers on turn 2. Ooh, for a Painter's Servant. Interesting. Was not expecting that. I suspect that I am dead. We're going to choose land, obviously. Boseiju? Boseiju does stuff. Let's do Ghost Quarter as one of my lands. I have done both Surveil lands already, so I'll just play something with a different name. think I will go ahead and just Ghost Quarter a Planar Nexus immediately. Oh, cool, no basic land. Then what is safest for me? Probably this. It's a little hard to tell. I'll pass the turn here. I've got 2 Planeswalkers threatening to do gross things. Karn can potentially just get a Grindstone as well and put that in play. That's a Grindstone coming. Karn is tutoring for a Grindstone. Life's bad. So this puts Tezzeret to 7 loyalty. So my opponent could just Emblem immediately. No. So they are going for mana, I assume. Okay, they are going for Pithing Needle. Potentially on Boseiju here. On Wasteland, sure. Urborg is not great. These fetch lands are not as good as they look like for Field of the Dead purposes. Because I have Forest, Snow-Covered Forest, Mortuary, Hedge Maze, and Bayou as my targets, so these don't fetch things with new names. At least not immediately. So there's Bayou, there's Urborg. That will get me my first one of these. Opponent says, please be gentle. Are zombies gentle? Unclear. Opponent says never. I don't know if I believe them. So I am dead to a mana source, which I think my opponent can probably just find a Lotus Petal here. And that's that. Yep. So now the next question is, do they go for this immediately? Do they wait for my turn? Do they wait until my end step? There's some options here. Karn just pluses on nothing. It's now my upkeep. And that's the Grindstone activation. That will kill me. GG's. I want to be able to tutor for these 2. And the next question becomes, do I need / want Thoughtseize over Spreading Algae? I will try to make the Spreading Algae work here. It is legitimately good at breaking up the lands that my opponent's deck is capable of comboing together for large amounts of mana. This is a hand that looks really cool but doesn't actually do anything. So I play Exploration into Yavimaya, into Exploration, into Field of the Dead or Lair of the Hydra, but then I have no gas after that, so this kind of does some stuff, but is fully just preying off the top of the deck after that. This is a much stronger hand. I will keep this one, probably getting rid of Mazavith and keeping the Blast Zone here. This is hopefully just going to like do cool things involving a Collector Oof. Leyline is pretty good. I suppose I can Blast Zone that away, technically. It's a slow answer to it, but it works. I would not mind finding just literally any untapped land so that I can Living Wish into Collector Oof immediately and shut down my opponent's mana before they get going. That's fine. Boseiju is a really good name in the dark. Yeah. Okay, I did not hit. I will always be able to Living Wish into Collector Oof next turn, unless something gets weird. I'm just going to do this, try to hit a Wasteland here. Use land. Did not hit a Wasteland. Well, I will Surveil. I am fine just taking that. I'll put a Blast Zone into play, call it a turn. But sometimes my opponent just jumps to 4 mana and does something like a Karn or a One Ring here, and a decent amount of damage is done immediately. Saga's pretty good. That is Painter's Servant. Everything is black. I wonder if it is Rex Sage here over Collector Oof. Living Wish. Say yes. I think I am getting the Rex Sage. Play a land. I think I just blow up the Urza's Saga. That denies a mana and potentially stops a tutor. And then I have 6 lands in play. I start getting zombies immediately. I am okay at pressuring planeswalkers once Field of the Dead is going. But doing this, I now can't Rex Sage the Disruptor Flute so that Boseiju is live for Leyline. But I will probably end up Blast Zoning that away, so I don't know that that's actually that big of a deal. Alright, cool. So, land drop. Trigger that. Land drop. Trigger that. I need 2 mana towards Blast Zone. So that's 3 of my lands. If I want to take Blast Zone up to 2, which means that I could funnel 4 mana into this and actually get a reasonable attack off, which is fine. Just get something like the Bayou here that has a different name. Kick up Lair of the Hydra. 4/3. Send in. Drop opponent to 13. That is a Kozilek's command. Essentially turning a Lotus Petal into an Eldrazi spawn. An opponent bottomed the card. That is probably good for me. Petal is fine. The One Ring is less fine. I think I messed up on my turn. I think I was supposed to tick Blast Zone up to 4 and think about getting rid of Leyline of the Void because I have this Life from the Loam. I am kind of worried about just dying to this stuff. Spreading Algae. Well, I mean, I'm gonna cast it. And then I'll just chill here. My opponent has protection from everything from the One Ring right now. They're down to 8. Facing a potentially lethal amount of damage next turn, counting Lair of the Hydra. Their Ancient Tomb is not doing them any favors right now. Although it could be tapped for 1 black mana instead of 2 life. Yes. Ooh, they did tap it for colorless, which destroys that land. I don't get the Spreading Algae back due to Leyline of the Void. I can draw a few more cards. They're pretty bottlenecked on mana, though. So I imagine that's death. Guide Lantern is fine. Has to remove one of their cards. Takes out a Petal. Alright, we get that game. Spreading Algae is already questionable, but if my opponent is going to play Leyline of the Void and this doesn't get to come back anyway, I think we have to make that swap. This hand doesn't do anything. It looks like it does because Manabond is cool, but this is a very easy mulligan. This isn't perfect. I think this is probably worth keeping. Maze of Ith does tap for mana once Urborg is in play, but this feels pretty replaceable. I want a Manabond or Exploration to round out this hand. Alright, cool. Well, fuck yeah. Let's go. Get a basic land, play an Exploration, play a Wasteland. I'll Wasteland my opponent in their upkeep. Goodbye, Ancient Tomb. And opponent has a Disruptor Flute. Aiming Boseiju. That's fine for me. I am hoping to Wasteland lock you here. This is a very good long-term name, though. That's totally fine. I am now just hoping to dodge Fairy Macabre, and I think if I dodge Fairy Macabre... Oh, hell yeah. Now it doesn't even matter that much if I dodge Fairy Macabre. I think I just do this now like this. Okay, cool. I will play that Wasteland, Wasteland that Ancient Tomb, and now even if I lose the Life from the Loam, I still just have 2 Winding Ways. I'm in very good shape. That Urza Saga is not long for this world. Manifold Key is fine. I'll take 1 damage, it's no big deal. I will dredge Life from the Loam with these targets. Land drop number 1. We'll Wasteland that Urza Saga. And I think land drop number 2 is just a Surveil land. I think land drop number 2 is just a Surveil land. Opponent says better lucky than good. I would argue better good than lucky. If you name Wasteland here, like anticipating that this exact thing could happen and that my deck is built to do this, you could have avoided this. Just throwing it out there. So, Edge Maze, Ghost Quarter. Do I care about the different name? I'll just put that into Graveyard. I'm going to dredge anyway, I think. Yeah. There's a Field of the Dead, a Ghost Quarter, a Wasteland. Those are all great. Let's get the Field of the Dead into play, and I'm fine throwing Maze of Ith out there so I stop taking chip damage. I don't think I dredge in my next turn. Finding additional land drops via Exploration or Manabond is really good. And we can do this Song and Dance. Yeah, I think I'm looking for more Exploration, Manabond, Living Wish type cards now. Winding Way instead. I am fine casting one of those. Using land. Nothing too fancy. There's a Wasteland. I can cast another one of these. Choose land. There's a Boseiju. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Field of the Dead will start doing its thing. I'll save this other Winding Way for next turn. That way I don't necessarily have to discard. Alright, looks like opponent is just passing the turn. And that probably means that I will start really pulling ahead. Use land. Not the best hits. There's a Wooded Foothills for Field of the Dead. There's a Ghost Quarter for Field of the Dead. And I will probably clock my opponent out in about 2 turns. I don't have any more basics in my deck, so I can't Ghost Quarter myself for additional zombies here. And then at end of turn, do Underground Mortuary. And that's good enough for my opponent to concede. We are now 2-2 with our Spreading Algae deck. Perhaps in spite of Spreading Algae rather than because of it. Let's see if we can put up a positive record, which honestly would be impressive. This is another one of those hands where if I get the next land, everything is great, and if I miss, it's a disaster. I think, being on the play, I will just mulligan this one. Hell yeah. I'm going to keep this, and I think I will get rid of the second Manabond. Opponent is also on 6 cards. Hopefully this resolves. It's awkward if it doesn't because I threw the other Manabond back, but it does resolve. Very nice. So I think I will go ahead and say yes here so that I can end up surveilling and then dredging life from the loam and kind of going nuts next turn. Snow-covered plains. That's fine. I'm not going to draw a card off of Esper Sentinel against me. Let's surveil, grab a hedge maze, exploration in addition to Manabond? Probably not. That's not worth skipping a life from the loam draw. So, dredge, life from the loam. 1, 2, 3 targets. Bam and bam. Esper Sentinel trigger. I will pay. Go ahead and then move to end step. Do the Manabond trigger. Say yes, and we are already at Field of the Dead, which means that I get 3 zombies immediately, and I will queue up another one at the end of my opponent's turn. This is obviously exceptionally powerful for this early in the game. Stoneforge is fine. Opponent can get Cauldra to try and aggro me out, or can get Lion Sash in an attempt to disrupt life from the loam. Paradise Mantle? Fascinating. I mean, that thing does have some infinite combos with it out there, although none that are commonly played within Legacy. Let's put that into Graveyard. I will dredge life from the loam, Maze of Ith, fetch land. Yeah, okay, that's good enough for my opponent. This is probably a I do not sideboard matchup unless I want to turn Spreading Algae into Thoughtseize. I think I've only destroyed 1 or 2 lands with Spreading Algae. Let's give it another shot. Okay, I have kept my opening hand. My opponent has a Leyline of the Void, Steel Shaper's Gift. Are you like Hammer Time or some shit? Yeah, they are Hammer Time. Bad fucking news, bud. This is almost working. I think I'm going to go Exploration here. I think I play Urborg this turn so I can play 2 Maze of Ith next turn. On the off chance that that's relevant. Wasteland can do some stuff. Stoneforge is fine. Finding Paradise Mantle. Yep. So we will Spreading Algae that basic plains. And I don't have another untapped green source because I didn't play this last turn because I am just being very, very careful. Colossus Hammer does not fuck around. Now that we know that my opponent is a Leyline of the Void deck, we need to take Spreading Algae out if we go to another game. That's fine. Wasteland being tapped for colorless, so that Stoneforge can tap for mana. It's another Wasteland. I mean, that takes out 2 copies of Maze of Ith, right? So this destroys that basic plains. Pure Steel Paladin, sure. So now my opponent can equip a Colossus Hammer for 0 mana. Draw a card off of this. Mox Opal, sure. And equip. In the face of double Maze of Ith and Blast Zone, I don't actually think this is scary. think we save Winding Way for a turn and have Blast Zone available. Life from the Loam can go to Graveyard. I don't think I am Blast Zoning away that Leyline. I think this is a matchup where I'm just going to naturally find Field of the Dead, make a bunch of land drops, and kill my opponent, assuming that I don't die to some string of bullshit. The opponent is going to take out one of my copies of Maze of Ith. I will float some mana. They're going to take out another copy of Maze of Ith, so I will float some mana. Ormot's Crypt is not doing a lot right now, that's fine. Does turn on Mox Opal. Moving Paradise Mantle to Pure Steel Paladin for free. 3 mana for a Nettle Cyst. Sure. That lets my opponent draw a card. Moving that is fine. Doesn't have haste or anything. Yep. Now, do I need to get rid of this Colossus Hammer at the cost of my exploration? I think that's fine since I have Manabond. So goodbye, Colossus Hammer. So we will Winding Way for some lands. I pick up a new Maze of Ith. That's fine. So I will play that. I will play a Manabond. I don't know that I need to discard a Manabond to put Lair of the Hydra in immediately, but I guess there's some Living Wish circumstances where it actually might be useful to have Lair of the Hydra mana next turn. Yeah, let's go ahead and put it into play, even if it's not crazy good. So now, assuming nothing majorly changes, I'm only taking like 3 points of damage here. Sure, that's fine. That's fine. The flash is not overly scary here, and I clearly know that I am mazing the 7 power creature. Taking 2, going to 18. Yeah, you can move your equipment around. That's fine. This is the sort of thing that I am going to be working towards. Maybe I just hold that till I have more lands for Manabond. I mean, I'm going to do it. This gives me a creature. It's not big, it's not scary, but it's a creature. I think I take out this immediately. We will maze here. Nice. I think that combat was positive for me overall. That is terrible. That doesn't get me a different land for Field of the Dead. Massive downside of trying to fuck around with this Spreading Algae thing. So we'll just pass. Another Pure Steel Paladin, sure. So if my opponent starts playing equipment and they get to draw 2 cards for each one of them, that's pretty sweet. Nettle Cyst. No. Alright, Yawgmoth. So we can play that for a zombie, and then Legend Rule our own Urborg for another zombie, which is fine. Now the flash starts to become relevant now, I think, because I can take a lot of damage. Sure. So why? Okay. Yes. Okay. Not what I'm looking for. I'll hold that for Blast Zone purposes, I suppose. Ornithopter is fine. Malevolent Rumble. Let's find something good. Another Field of the Dead. Don't mind if I do. Play the second Field of the Dead. So now I'm going to get 2 zombies for each one of these lands that I get. 4 for fetch lands. Esper Sentinel is fine. That tax is very much not relevant. Yeah, you can move your stuff around. The Nettle Cyst Esper Sentinel interaction is super cute. So I can't pay 11. It's probably worth it to give my opponent 1 card to look at this many cards. I will accept. Wasteland is fine. So play Wasteland, turn it into 2 zombies. Wasteland my opponent's Ancient Den. And this is a first non-creature spell, so I can go ahead and, I guess, cast this Manabond here. And we're just going to try to create a situation where I go wide of all of my opponent's blockers and kill them in like 1 turn. The Ornithopter that flies is actually maybe the scariest thing here with Sigarda's aid. To be a little careful about actually tapping this Maze of Ith. Okay, so opponent just played that as a land and passes the turn back to me. Sure. Life from the Loam does not do anything right now. If I send in with all of these creatures, my opponent has 1 good block and takes a bunch of damage. I can still have 3 blockers back. Seems fine. I'll leave back these 2. Opponent takes half of their life total, going to 10. Opponent is sending in with everybody. I'm gonna go ahead and fire up Lair of the Hydra. Turn it into a respectable sized body. So we're gonna go ahead and block here. Block and kill here. I'm fine blocking here. I'm not gonna use Maze of Ith unless I am facing probably lethal damage. Target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If that creature is attacking, you may attach any number of equipment you control to it. Sure. You've got it. My opponent is now tapped out. They have no mana, so this is now fine. I will take 1 damage. My opponent is facing down lethal zombies. Okay, my opponent just concedes. Yeah, I have some Living Wish lines there where I can do something like Reclamation, Sage to blow up the Ornithopter, so they have even fewer blockers. We do put up a positive finish with 4 copies of Spreading Algae in our deck. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. The Spreading Algae was the worst card in the deck, and Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth was the second worst card in our deck. I knew Spreading Algae was going to be bad, but I didn't really think about how badly Leyline of the Void was going to neuter this card. When Leyline of the Void not only stops Life from the Loam, but also stops this Spreading Algae combo from working, that's honestly just kind of insult to injury. So I had to make my mana worse to get Spreading Algae into the deck, and I also had to play Spreading Algae for it to be in my deck. So I think my deck was at least 8 cards away from optimal accordingly. This deck is pretty solid in fair matchups, but is very, very scared of the unfair matchups. We didn't play against a lot of the fastest possible combo today, you know, the Oops All Spells and Reanimator and Doomsday and Storm type stuff. We have some game versus the One Ring combo decks since we can attack their lands relatively aggressively, but we're still pretty bad versus Planeswalkers. I don't know that we should go so deep as to, say, play a Phyrexian Revoker in the sideboard that we can Living Wish for, but it's definitely on my radar as something to think about in the future. I believe Spreading Algae destroyed about 2 lands over the course of this game, but we never did the Spreading Algae thing of just taking out land after land after land after land. That just was not something that happened, largely because of Leyline of the Void. So I would caution people about putting Spreading Algae in your deck. If you're doing it because you want to have a good time and do something silly, not because it is particularly competitive. And with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. I don't think we got to Lumra in this league either, and that is a little sad. Oh no, we'll have to play the bear again another day. See ya!